Hi, today you will be guided in writing your paper's introduction. First, open the introduction conclusion worksheet that your teacher provided you. Go to File and then make a copy and rename your new file. Save it in an organized location. Pause whenever you need to. Now we're ready to start. Let's scroll to the introduction section. The first element is the brief overview. Look at the examples and consider your own topic. You will want to indicate the tone of how you want your audience to feel, concerned, impassioned to make change, excited about the topic's potential, etc. Do not use the keywords from points A, B, or C from your thesis statement. Instead, you want to paint an overall picture. Keep the concepts broad. Pause the screencast to draft your own and unpause when you are ready. Next are statistics. Consider a statistic that might enhance your paper. Look to the example. Looking up your keyword on Google Images and adding the term statistics will likely bring up multiple graphs and charts. Since this is the introduction, you will want a broad statistic. How many prisoners in the US compared to other nations versus how many prisoners of one race, which you might explore later on in the body of your paper. Write the one you select in a sentence form and follow it with a proper parenthetical citation. Follow that with a sentence that explains why this number has meaning. Pause when you're ready to work and unpause when you are done. Now we move on to the case study. How does the world, its people, or other living things connect to your topic? You may need to search your topic's keyword and the term stories. Look to the example. Find your own. Keep your writing brief just to explain the basics and know that you can pick up the remainder of the story later on in your paper. Be sure to cite your source parenthetically. Pause when you are ready and unpause when you are done. Quotes next. We want you to locate a famous quote. This is not a direct quote from one of your sources. For this, you will search your topic's keyword and add quotes to the search. Look to the example. When you find a good quote, create an in-text citation by stating who is credited for the words, and follow it with a brief description of who they are, most likely the position they hold. Follow that with their exact words. It's okay if it's just a portion of those words, and place those words into quotation marks. Pause when you are ready and unpause when you are done. Next is the thesis statement. We already worked on thesis statements in a past class. If you missed the lesson, just watch the screencast. Paste your thesis statement into the box. Below this is a rhetorical question option. Be warned, it takes time and care to craft a rhetorical question that strengthens versus weakens your paper. Have your teacher approve your rhetorical question prior to adding it in your paper. Now you are done with the introduction portion of the worksheet. This time you are ready to draft the actual introduction on a Google Doc. You put your title, First Rough Draft, and please copy the brief overview over onto the Google Doc. Next, you will review your statistic, quote, and case study. You're going to pick what you feel is the most appropriate one for your introduction, and you will paste it either before the brief overview or after the brief overview, wherever you feel it fits best. Then you will follow it by your thesis statement. It's possible that you don't feel that your introduction is developed well enough. You can feel free to pick a second element, the statistic, brief, or not the brief overview, the statistic, case study, or quote to add to the brief overview and statistic and the other element you chose, depending on how well developed they are. But you'd never want to choose 3 because that will make too long of an introduction. Don't worry though, it's likely that you don't want to trash this work. You can actually transition into a topic within your paper or use the content that you've already worked on and add it to the main body of your paper, and you will be fine. It might be a great topic sentence or transition lead-in, taking it from broad to more narrow in the main body of your writing. Our school requires that you underline the thesis statement in your introduction, so you may as well do that in your first draft. So do this now. Great work on your first draft. Remember, editing is always good. Take a look at your introduction over and over to ensure that it's the best writing that you can do, and feel free to ask a friend or a teacher for their input to make any further changes. Good luck in your writing. You can do this.